Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this series of videos I will show you the conversion of this one into a camper one. I bought a Mercedes Sprinter Type 316 CDI with a 2.2 liter engine. I will also show you on this one how you can repair various body damage yourself. So let's get started. In this part I will show you how to make a partition wall. We will remove this old one and make a double wall with a passage. A sliding door will be installed in the left part. I plan to make a door driven by an electric motor and use some parts from an old car and some parts of the back door and the window drive. So let's move to the workshop. To make the partition I bought a L-type profile with dimensions of 30 by 30 mm and a material thickness of 2 mm. And for the reinforced part of the partition I used 30 by 20 mm steel bar with a material thickness of 3 mm. In the end, a 1 mm thick sheet metal will be welded to the partition. I used white polyurethane putty for the sheet metal joints. Before painting, I thoroughly degreased the material and sanded it with a matting mat. As a base coat, I used a 2-component epoxy primer. I have the first part of the partition ready. As a stop rubber for the sliding door, I used an old seal from the side door and prepared a holder for the door sliding control unit. This is a comfort unit from BMW E46. I ground the groove in the floor for the rail in which the sliding door will be placed. I used an iron bar measuring 35 by 35 mm to make the rail. Now, all that's left is to make the same part on the other side. I had to modify the window regulator by cutting it and straightening it from its original bent shape. I managed to damage the guide cable while working. Fortunately, the cable itself can be replaced with an original BMW part from an aftermarket manufacturer. The wiring harnesses. I used the wiring from the rear door of a BMW E46. I connected it to the connectors of the comfort unit. The availability of wiring diagrams for the additional installation of electric windows for this type of car helped a lot. I also used the window lifter from the rear door on the right side. I connected the finished wiring harness to the comfort unit marked GM5. When painting, I used black as the base color with the addition of coarse silver. After painting with clear varnish, I sanded the base underwater with a 2000 grit sandpaper. the red paint and painted it with 5 layers of clear varnish. After it dried, I sanded the varnish again underwater and polished it to remove any dust that had fallen into the varnish. I glued a self-adhesive grey carpet to the side of the partition from the cabin and prepared a simple TV holder, which I also glued with a carpet from the contact surface to the painted part of the partition. I routed part of the electrical installation from the partition to the power supply under the driver's seat to the power supply fuses for the electric motor and connected the comfort unit to the left part of the fuse box with a permanent 12-volt supply and the last third cable for starting the unit. I connected to the right part of the fuse box, which has voltage only when the key is turned on, so that the battery voltage does not drop during prolonged parking. Here we have the final part of the first part of the conversion. The sliding doors are mounted in a total of 11 bearings with an outer diameter of 2.2 cm and an inner diameter of 8 mm from the top. On the bottom I used a gate drive with dimensions of 30 mm and an M8 thread. If you liked the video and want to see more of this conversion, click subscribe. I will be releasing videos regularly. If you would like to see any part in more detail, write it in the comments. See you in the next video.